At this place in history, we're in Vergennes, home to Vermont's first known black sheriff and police chief. And here with me now is Steve Perkins. Steve, tell our viewers what we'll be doing today.
Absolutely. So a few months ago, the state of Vermont, with a group of local citizens, erected the monument behind us, or the marker behind us, to Stephen Bates, who was, as far as we know, the first black Vermont sheriff and police chief right here in Vergennes. And we're not talking like, 50 years ago. We're talking well over 100 years ago, 1879. So there's a new exhibit opening at the Bixby Library looking at his life, and we're going to go talk with some of the organizers of that exhibit and learn more about Stephen Bates' life.
Now, Bo, I want to start off with how this whole exhibit, which is inside this library, got started.
Well, it got started actually a couple years ago. I had a visit from Larry Schuyler from Worcester, Massachusetts. He was coming to Vergennes to St. Paul's Episcopal Church, where I'm a member, and he wanted to know if we had any information about his great-grandfather, Stephen Bates. I just did a quick search online for some records, and I found his obituary, which explained, that he lived here in the late 19th century, had been sheriff for many years, and I noticed that he was an African American, and I thought that was an unusual story.
What I understand is that he was born into slavery, but then escaped and moved to Vermont.
Yeah, he was born enslaved on the Shirley Plantation in Virginia, which is south of Richmond on the James River, and he and his entire family were there. So in 1862, McClellan, who was a general Union officer, ended up being at a place called Harrison's Landing, which was quite near the Shirley Plantation, with a number of troops. And at this time, Stephen escaped and joined those Union officers. He got to Vergennes through Frederick Enoch Woodbridge, who was a congressman, and we learned through newspaper accounts that he was Woodbridge's coachman. So when Woodbridge finished his time serving at the United States Congress, he came back to Vergennes, where his home was, and Stephen came with him.
So, Bo, we're now at the second panel that touches on Bates's professional life.
His time as sheriff was a part-time position. It wasn't something that he had additional duties, but as sheriff, he arrested people. There was stories about him arresting some mail robbers. That was a big story back then. There were some stories about him being involved in investigating grand larceny. He was sheriff for 25 years. So all but 6 years between 1879 and 1907.
I think we have to remember that in Vermont, sheriff is an elected position.
Right.
So it's not like a job application chosen by a couple of people.
Right.
It actually is an elected position.
Exactly.
I think that's pretty significant.
Very significant. If I remember correctly, Vergennes' population was around 1,500, and the number of African Americans then was 13, including Stephen Bates.
How was he so accepted at the time? How did he do this?
He just must have been, through his personality and his skills with people. He was a member of all kinds of community organizations. He was a member of St. Paul's Episcopal Church. He sang in the choir. So he had a lot of friends here, and I don't think he was looked at as, which apparently just wasn't a thing that people in Vergennes would be upset about. They just, really liked him a lot and wanted him as their sheriff.
At this place in history.